See the job post? Business is about to hire someone to do repetitive operations work. That is a salary every month for years. Something most people miss is that a lot of that work is something you could fix one time with one automation for less than a single month of that salary. Then it just runs while you just collect the cash. Picture the business behind a post like that. This is a made-up example, but a realistic one. A founder, 3 days from posting exactly this row. Everything in his business runs through him. One thing especially. He personally approves every client update before it goes out. Every status email, every note, sitting in his inbox, waiting on him. He's certain he needs to hire someone to take over it. But the truth is, he doesn't. A belief almost every overloaded founder holds is that when you are buried in operations work, the fix is to hire another person. Because it feels intuitive, right? You're drowning, so you need more hands. But before you write that job post, sit with the real question. Is there a third door between hiring someone and just suffering through it? Because actually, there is one, and most people walk right past it. Think about your own kitchen for a second. Nobody hires a person to stand at the sink and wash every single dish by hand, all day, every day, forever. You just buy a dishwasher. Once. And it runs every night. It never goes in sick, it never quits, and it never asks you for a single question. Yet with the repetitive work on a business, our first instinct is to hire the dishwasher by hand. That instinct is what it's about to cost this founder an entire salary. So let me show you how to tell which of your problems is a buy a dishwasher problem, what it actually costs, and how to decide. Because a lot of the time, the thing you're about to hire for is the thing you only need to fix once. I'm an engineer. I build these operation systems, and I care about how they actually work under the hood, not just the hype around them. So I spend my time on one question. Which piece of a business work should you automate instead of hire for? And I want to be clear up front. This is not a never hire anyone, because hiring is the right move sometimes. It's just the most expensive move, and it should be the last one you reach for, not the first. So by the end of this video, you will have a 5-step way to run on your own workload before you post any job. Delete, document, delegate, automate, and then hire. You will also know what each option really costs, so the decision is math and not panic. Let's start with why you feel this overloaded in the first place. The thing crushing most founders is not the amount of work, it's the hidden kind of work called process debt. And spotting it is how you find that third door. Process debt is all the work that lives only in your head. How a client gets set up, how a proposal gets built, how you decide what is urgent, what done looks like, and none of it is written down. None of it is turned into a system. It only runs because you run it. And it behaves like a loan you never agreed to. And it charges interest every single week in the time you spend re-explaining things, rechecking things, and fixing handoffs that went wrong. When a business is small, that is completely normal. The trouble starts when it grows. You feel overloaded, you decide the problem is not enough hands, and you end up hiring. But the new person walks in and finds nothing to stand on. No written process, no clear owner, no rules for the weird cases, so they end up coming back to you with questions, constantly. And now you have the old work plus a person to manage. That is the coordination tax, and it's why founders hire and somehow they get busier. You cannot hand someone a process that does not exist, but you can build a system that runs it. And the repetitive, rule-based part of the process debt is exactly the part a one-time automation can take over for good. That is the trap our founder was walking into. Approve every client update was not really a job he could hand off. It was a set of unwritten judgments living only in his head. Hiring an account manager would not remove that. It would just give the guesswork a second home. But the repeatable part of it, that is something you fix once. Keep him in mind, because in a minute we're going to run this exact problem through the 5 steps. Now let's talk about what that hire really costs you, because it's more than the salary on the offer letter. The obvious cost is the pay. Capable ops person is a real yearly salary plus the cost of onboarding them, plus the months before they actually pull in their weight. And if you pick wrong, it's even worse. The US Department of Labor's commonly cited figure is that a bad hire costs at least 30% of that person's first year pay. The HR body SHRM puts the real all-in cost higher once you add up runtime and the drain of managing them. The bigger cost is the one that never shows up on the spreadsheet. You just took a messy, undocumented process and made it bigger. More people running on knowledge that only lives in your head. More things to go wrong and harder to fix later. So a hire is a big, forever cost. Here is the reframe. The business thinks it needs help. What it almost always needs is leverage. Help is another person doing tasks. Leverage is the work either disappearing or getting written down so anyone can do it, or getting it automated so nobody has to. Help scales 1-to-1. One person, one person's output, and you pay for it every month. And like we've talked in previous videos, leverage compounds. You set it up once and it keeps paying you back. The mistake is jumping straight from I am overloaded to I will hire, and skipping the cheaper, faster, longer lasting option sitting just in between. That option is the third door. So now let's put the real numbers on it. I want to be clear first about what they are. These are market costs. What it actually costs to get one of these automations built right now, gathered from several 2025 and 2026 pricing guides. A single automation like this, one workflow, built and handed to you, commonly costs somewhere between $2,000 and $12,000, with bigger setups running to $15,000 and up. That is a one-time cost. Now, hold that next to the hire. An ops salary is easily $50,000 to $70,000 a year. That is $4,000 to $6,000 a month, every month for as long as that person stays. So look at the two doors side by side. The hire is a salary you pay every single month for years, and the automation is a one-time bill that often costs less than 1 month of that salary. And then it runs forever. It never quits, it never forgets, it never asks you questions or needs a review. That is the dishwasher. You're about to pay a person every month to wash the dishes by hand when a one-time machine does the same job for a fraction of a single month's pay and never stops. That gap is the whole point of this video. And keeping it running is cheap too. An automation needs a little looking after when a tool it touches changes. That is usually a small monthly fee, commonly $500 to $1,000 a month, far less than a salary. And if you would rather think in hours, the people who build this charge roughly $40 to $100 an hour starting out, or $80 to $150 in the US and Western Europe. And the senior specialists go past $250. So even at the top end, one building is a rounding error next to a year of the salary. That is why this story is worth knowing about. Now, let me show you how to find this exact piece of your work that fits right through it. This is the tool. You run your overwhelming work through 5 questions in this order, and it tells you exactly which piece is the automation and which piece, if any, is really a hire. Number 1 is delete. Basically, can't this just stop? You will be amazed how much work exists only because it always has. Reports nobody reads, meetings that could have been a message, approvals on things that do not need approving. So before you automate anything or hire anyone, ask if the work should exist at all. Deleting is free and instant. Number 2 is document. For the work that has to happen, is it written down? Because if the answer is no, it's just in my head, that is a real problem, not a missing employee. Writing it down turns invisible work into something you can hand off or automate. It usually also exposes a few pointless steps, which sends you back to delete. Number 3 is delegate. Now that the process is actually written down, does it actually need you? A lot of your work is yours only because of habit, and someone already on your team can often take it. This is handing work to people, not machines. Not everything should be automated. Knowing the difference is very important. Number 4 is automate. This is the third door we'll be talking about. For the documented, repetitive work that does not need a human judgment every time, moving data between tools, sending reminders, posting status updates, drafting the first version of routine messages, you build a system instead of paying a person. This is the step almost everyone skips, and is the one that removes the most repeat work for good. And finally, number 5, hire. And only now does a new person make sense. If a piece of work survives all 4 filters, it cannot be deleted, it is written down, and it truly needs a dedicated owner, and it cannot be fully automated, then yes, that is a real job. And notice how much better the hire is now. They walk into documented systems and run them, instead of walking to chaos and becoming part of that chaos. So 4 of the 5 steps is just you removing or reshaping work. Only the last one is a hire, and most of your load never gets there. So now let's come back to our founder, the one 3 days from posting the job. We take his exact problem and run it down the 5 steps. His biggest pain is he personally approved every client update before it went out. Every status email, every note, waiting in his inbox for him. He was sure he needed an account manager. So now let's run it. Delete a chunk of those updates were routine, still on track notes that did not need his eyes at all. Gone. Now document. For the rest, he writes down what a good update looks like and what would make him not approve one. Delegate. With those rules on paper, his existing project lead can handle the odd exception. Automate. Now, here's the third door. The routine on-track updates get drafted automatically from the project status and sent on a schedule, with anything unusual flagged for a human to check. That system, pulling the status, applying his 5 rules, drafting and sending the update, is the automation. And finally, hire. By step 5, the whole job he was about to post has shrunk to a build plus a handful of exceptions. So he ended up not making the hire. And the automation that replaced it is a one-time cost in the low thousands, plus a small fee to keep it running. He was about to pay a salary every single month for years for something he only needed to fix once. Now, don't just take my word that fixing the work beats adding people. There is good data behind it. McKinsey's 2025 State of the AI report found that nearly 8 in 10 companies now use AI somewhere in the business, but only about 6% are seeing real money from it in the bottom line. And the single biggest thing that separated the winners was this. They redesigned the actual work. Not the tool they bought, not the people they added, the work itself. Read that as a founder. Owning the tools is not enough, and adding bodies is not enough. Fixing the process is what pays off. And on the size of the problem, McKinsey in an early 2012 study also put a number on it. Knowledge workers spend about a fifth of their week, around 2 hours a day, just hunting down for information that should already be easily available. That is the tax of process debt. Adding a person to a messy process does not remove that tax. It just puts one more person on the clock paying it. So the evidence points one way. The businesses that fix and redesign the work get the value. Most have not, and a new hire dropped into an unfixed process just costs more. So how do you actually decide? Pick one painful repetitive process. Not automate the whole business, just one thing. Weight it honestly. If a one-time build in the low thousands removes work that is eating a chunk of a salary or 2 hours of someone's day, that is very easy math. Then plan for the small monthly fee to keep it running, because automations need a little care when the tools they touch change. One process, fixed once, with a small upkeep cost. You are not guessing at the number, You are comparing a one-time bill against a salary you would pay forever. Now, 2 traps will sink this. The first one is do not automate chaos. I cannot stress this enough. I've said it in previous videos, if you skip delete and document and jump straight to automate, you just wire up a broken process and make the bad stuff happen faster. It's like throwing the gas on a car with the steering knocked out of line. You do not get where you're going, you just hit the wall sooner. Automations copy whatever you point it at, so point it at a clean system. The second is don't hire into chaos either. A new person dropped into an undocumented mess does not fix the mess. They inherit it, and now you manage them on top of it. So fix the work first. Then, and only then, decide what you actually need. Here's how to run this for yourself. Take your own business and for 1 week, write down every task that is repetitive or that only you can do. Do not fix anything yet, just capture it. Then run each item through the 5 questions in order: delete, document, delegate, automate, and hire. The ones that land on automate, documented, repetitive, no human judgment needed each time, that is your list. Pick the most painful one, and that is your first fix. Most things stop well before hire, and that is exactly the point. If you want to actually run this on your own business, I am putting everything behind it in a free school community. The worksheet for finding these fixes, walkthroughs of how the system gets built, and honest notes on what things cost. It's for founders and operators who want to systemize their work instead of just hiring their way out of it. I invite you to run the audit on your most painful processes this week. It's free and the link is in the description. And if you're an owner who would rather have a system like this built and installed than do it yourself, that is exactly what Broker Studio is for. The idea is to install an AI operating layer into your business in phases so the repetitive operations run on a system instead of on you or a new hire. No pressure at all, the audit and the free resources will get you a long way on your own. But if you would rather have it built for you, we are here to help. So the next time you feel buried and your hand goes to the job board, stop and run these 5 steps first. Remember the 2 rules. Never automate chaos. Fix the work before you point a machine at it. And do not hire into chaos either. Most of the time the answer is not a new salary every month. It's the third door. Build a dishwasher once and let it run. I will see you in the next one.